What's going on, guys? I'm Bill and welcome to Billshowto. Today we'll be testing out the Hilti impact driver with my 14-inch ultimate screw test. Let's do this. Alright guys, so today we're going to be testing out the Hilti impact driver with my ultimate screw test. Now, as you can tell, my arm is in a sling. I've recently had shoulder surgery on my left shoulder. If you guys want to check out any more information on that, you can check that out on my other YouTube channel, which I'll put a link somewhere here. With regards to the Hilti impact driver, so what we're doing is comparing it with my ultimate screw test. So what we've got here is a 36 centimeter long, 14 inch, 1 centimeter in diameter long screw. Now this is not a normal screw by any means. The reason why I've decided to do this test is the last time I tested out the Hilti impact driver and the Ryobi, to be honest, the Ryobi outperformed the Hilti. What I found was the Ryobi was able to sink those screws in a lot quicker than the Hilti. And time. Now that was actually very interesting. This one here doesn't seem like it's got much power initially, but then it just continues to drive and drive and drive, and it doesn't struggle at all. So it's very, very consistent in terms of how much power. Probably explains why it sounds funny compared to the Ryobi. Sounds like it's going to do a hell of a lot more work, but then once it gets a bit tough, the Hilti just keeps on going. But what I also did find was that as the screws got deeper into the timber, and depending on the gauge of the screw, the Ryobi actually seemed to struggle more than the Hilti. This is why I've decided to do the ultimate screw test, to really get the screws in as deep as we can and as thick as we can, and see just how well these drills can perform. Now, previously I've also compared the D-Walt and the Ryobi, as you can tell here. So we've got the Ryobi and the D-Walt. The D-Walt outperformed the Ryobi, but what was extremely interesting with that test was that the specs were actually higher on the Ryobi. So I think from memory we had 180 Newton meters of torque on the Ryobi versus 155 on the D-Walt in terms of specs. However, when we did put it to the test, the D-Walt outperformed the Ryobi, which is extremely interesting. And that's the reason why we're doing this test today, to compare the Hilti and see just how well it performs. So just a quick overview on the three drills before we get started. This one here, the Hilti, costs $330. It's a brushless motor and it's a 22 volt. Now when we have a look at the specs, 2700 RPMs, 194 Newton meters of torque, and 3500 impacts per minute. So this one here outperforms both of these in terms of specs by far. Now when we look at the D-Walt, the D-Walt here is $140, 18 volt, brushed motor, and we've also got 2800 RPMs, 155 Newton meters of torque, and then we've got 3200 impacts per minute. Compared to the Ryobi, Ryobi has 2600 RPM, 180 Newton meters of torque, and 3200 impacts per minute. So when we compared these two the last time, the torque was a lot higher at 180 versus 155 with the specs alone. However, when we did put it into practice, the D-Walt outperformed the Ryobi. So it'll be extremely interesting to see exactly what the Hilti can perform. Let's get straight into it, guys. Let's do this. So with the old two screws that we've got here, on this side we've got the Ryobi that sunk the screw down 5.3 inches, which was 135 mil, and then we've got the D-Walt over here, which sunk it down at 6.7 inches, and that was 170 mil. So let's see how well the Hilti can perform. Ready, set, go. And that's it, guys. Looks like we have a winner. Not by much, to be honest. We've got 175 mil in. That means we've sunk this down at 185 millimeters, which is 7.3 inches. So to compare all three screws, we've got the Ryobi at 135 millimeters, which was 5.3 inches. The D-Walt at 170 mil, which was 6.7 inches, and then we've got the Hilti 7.3 inches and 185 millimeters. So when we have a look at the three and compare them, there's a huge difference between the D-Walt and also the Hilti compared to the Ryobi. However, between these two here, the Hilti and the Ryobi, the Hilti and the D-Walt, I don't really find too much of a difference, especially when we compare the price and the specs that's involved with the Hilti. So I'm going to leave that one up to you guys. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to try and reverse these screws out. So this has been sunken in as far as I'll go. Let's test it out. We'll start off with the Ryobi, see if we can pull these screws out. Then we'll see if the D-Walt can do it, and then leave it for the Hilti. So we'll start off with the Ryobi. We'll see if we can remove the screw from the Hilti, which I doubt, to be honest. It's not going to move that one. Let's see if we can remove the D-Walt. It's not going to remove that one. Let's see if the Ryobi can remove the Ryobi. Or has it sunk it in that far that it can't even remove its own screw out? Wow. That's definitely not coming out. Let's see what the D-Walt can do. So let's try out the D-Walt. It's not removing the Hilti. Can't remove its own screwing. And once again, let's see if the D-Walt can remove the Ryobi screw. Can't even remove that one. So by the looks of it, it seems to be able to drive the screw in as far as it can. However, it won't have as much power in the reverse mode. So let's see what the Hilti can do. So if my theory is correct, we're able to drive more power in forward than we are in reverse. So going off my theory, I should not be able to remove the Hilti screw that we've just put in with the Hilti. However, I should, or hopefully, will be able to remove the D-Walt and the Ryobi. So let's see. Once again, Hilti with Hilti. That's not coming out. Let's see the Hilti with the D-Walt. That's not coming out. Let's see if we can even remove the Ryobi screw. Wow. So by the looks of it, we're able to drive these screws in to the point where they won't turn anymore. However, we're struggling to get these out in reverse. Now, the last thing we've got is the drill driver. So we're going to try the Hilti drill driver and see if we can reverse these out using the drill driver. So now we've got the Hilti drill driver. Let's see if we can pull these screws out. The impact driver couldn't do it, so we'll start off with the Ryobi one and see if we can pull it out. Just have to be a little bit careful as I'm only using one arm. Ah, easy. That's one out. Let's see how we go against the D-Walt. That's too easy, guys. That is extremely interesting that it's actually got more power to remove the screws that the impact driver sunk in, and the drill driver is actually performing a bit better. So let's see how we go on the last one. Now that is unreal. So there you have it, guys. Extremely interesting results. There wasn't too much comparison between the Hilti and the D-Walt. I'll leave that up to you guys. Let me know in the comment section. Do you think it's actually worth the money or the difference in terms of the Hilti, the Ryobi and the D-Walt? Now, as we've seen, which was extremely unexpected, they weren't able to reverse out the screws once they were sunk in. But the drill driver, on the other hand, was able to remove them with ease. So that gives me a new idea. It's now time to compare the drill driver with the impact drivers. If you've got any suggestions, put them in the comment section below, guys. As always, like, comment and subscribe. Until next time, I'm Bill. Thanks for watching Billshowto.